This evening, first up, another blow to the PNCR. Former Georgetown Mayor Ubraj Narine resigns from the party, adding to a growing wave of high-profile departures. What it means for the opposition landscape after the 2025 elections. Plus, Cutlass confrontation caught on camera. A Universal Church pastor is fired after threatening a driver during a parking dispute. Now, City Hall is stepping in, and the mayor is setting the record straight on who really controls public parking. Also, new beginnings for 26 families. From years of hardship to household keys in hand, we'll take you inside the core homes handover, bringing stability and hope to South Guyana's most vulnerable households. Meanwhile, school feeding program under review. The Education Ministry moves to upgrade nutrition and fix complaints. We'll tell you what changes students and parents can expect. And abroad, climate pressure in China. Beijing vows to cut emissions, but expert says the world's biggest polluter isn't moving fast enough. These stories and more coming up on Headline News Update. Stay with us. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for November 20th, 2025. I'm Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, former mayor of Georgetown, Pandit Ubraj Narine, has resigned from the People's National Congress Reform, adding to the growing list of high-profile departures from the party in recent years. In a letter to party leader Aubrey Norton, Narine said the decision followed careful reflection, noting that he remains grateful for the support and camaraderie he received during his time in the party. He expressed hope that, despite parting ways, all sides would remain committed to peace, democracy, and the advancement of all Guyanese. Narine offered no detailed reasons for his departure, but he has previously voiced dissatisfaction with the party's handling of internal disputes and questioned whether all members are fully accepted under the current leadership. His resignation follows a pattern of continued erosion within the PNCR. Over the past year, several senior figures have stepped away. Some former members have joined rival parties, including the ruling PPPC and the emerging WIN party, while others have launched their own political movements. The exodus has coincided with declining national support for the PNCR. In the September 2025 general and regional elections, the party placed third behind newcomer Reinvest in Nationhood, which secured the role of main opposition. Narine's departure marks yet another significant loss for the PNCR as the party continues to grapple with internal rifts, leadership challenges, and ongoing questions about its future direction. On a different note, the Universal Church has fired one of its pastors after a shocking video of him threatening a driver with a cutlass during a parking dispute outside the church went viral, prompting public outrage and swift action from both church officials and city authorities. The video shows the pastor arguing with a man who had parked in front of the church, insisting it was a private parking area. As the confrontation escalated, the pastor positioned himself behind the vehicle, daring the driver to run over him while members of the congregation joined the argument. The pastor then brandished the cutlass in what appeared to be a threat. The church's governing board swiftly terminated his appointment, stressing that his behavior does not reflect the organization's values. Its president, Dipchan Bikari, issued a public apology to the government and Guyanese public. City officials later confirmed that the church has no special parking privileges. The mayor and city council reminded the public that no one is allowed to place no parking signs or other obstructions on public parapets and swiftly removed encumbrances on the site. The driver involved, Kidiki Amsterdam, said the ordeal highlights the urgent need to regularize parking in Georgetown, noting that confusion and conflict are common. Mayor Alfred Mentor also expressed disappointment in the pastor's behavior, emphasizing that the church had never been granted reserved parking and that the area would remain open to public use. Moving on, 26 low-income families from Region 3 and 4 received keys to their new core homes on Wednesday under the Adequate Housing and Urban Accessibility Program, bringing long-awaited relief and stability to some of the country's most vulnerable households. Among the recipients was Lakshmini Sicharan of Coverdon Garden, who has spent nearly 20 years moving between rented places while struggling to make ends meet. Overwhelmed with relief, she said she's ready to move into her new home immediately. The ceremony was led by Housing Minister Colin Crowell alongside representatives from the Inter-American Development Bank, which funds the program. Minister Crowell said each home delivered helps families improve their quality of life and strengthens community stability. IDB officials lauded the strong government partnership behind the initiative. Other beneficiaries shared similar stories of hardship and gratitude. Michael Underwood of Sophia said his living conditions were barely habitable, while George Ollicock said the new home means escaping years of financial strain from rent. Patricia Burton, who lived in an overcrowded range house with 5 relatives, described receiving her home as a proud and emotional moment. The Core Home Support Initiative provides safe, affordable 400 square foot homes with 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and a bathroom. Beneficiaries contribute $100,000 towards the construction. Today, 202 homes have been handed over with a target of 300 homes. The Adequate Housing and Urban Accessibility Program also includes a home improvement subsidy to help vulnerable families upgrade existing structures. Of 927 selected households, 855 have already received materials. The $5.8 billion program spans areas from Georgetown to Grove, Hasselton, and several West Bank Demerara communities and aims to improve housing, strengthen communities, and uplift vulnerable families across the country. Stick around when we return. Education Ministry launches full review of school feeding program, and Public Works Ministry refutes claims of delay in Thomas Land Road project.
Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common flaws make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Middle Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Check us out at Decor and Gift Gallery this Christmas holiday for all your shopping needs. We are located at 47 Craig and Sheriff Street, Campbellville, Georgetown.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Education has begun an extensive review of the National School Feeding Program to strengthen its nutritional value and overall impact on students and families nationwide. Minister of Education Sonia Parag, who assumed office in September, said she met with the school feeding unit to access daily operations and identify areas for improvement. As part of the review, the ministry is collaborating with the Carnegie School of Home Economics to upgrade the program's menu and boost its nutritional standards. The ministry also intends to address publicly raised complaints and those on social media, ensuring that all concerns are investigated promptly and fairly. Minister Parag emphasized that while the ministry is willing to work with providers who meet established standards, there will be no compromise on the health and well-being of children. Head teachers have been reminded to report any issues promptly and to maintain strong oversight to ensure the program's continued success. The ministry maintains that the ongoing review is aimed at ensuring every child benefits from a safe, nutritious, and reliable school feeding system, one that supports learning, promotes healthy development, and upholds the highest standards of care across all schools. In other news, the Ministry of Public Works has dismissed claims made in a recent video by former Member of Parliament Annette Ferguson, saying her statement about delays in the Thomas Land rehabilitation projects are completely false. However, the ministry clarified that the contractor JKP Construction began work on November 25, 2024 and has a 12-month contract. The project is therefore still within its deadline, with completion expected by the end of November 2025. The ministry also rejected Ferguson's claims that the public is being unnecessarily blocked from accessing the worksite. It noted that only key stakeholders such as the National Park, the Civil Defense Commission, Transport Sports Club, and nearby businesses are permitted to enter the zone for safety reasons, while other road users must use the alternative routes provided. Officials explained that recent heavy rainfalls caused water to saturate newly compacted loam and sand layers, delaying essential density testing until the area dries. This measure is necessary to protect the structural integrity of the works already completed. Phase 2 covers a 600-meter stretch between Irving and Albert Streets. Phase 1, completed earlier, extended from Albert Street to Queens College. Don't go away after the break. Survivors call for full Epstein disclosure after Congress passes transparency law. And Tokyo-Beijing diplomatic dispute fuels unease among Chinese diaspora in Japan.
Check us out at Decor and Gift Gallery this Christmas holiday for all your shopping needs. We are located at 47 Craig and Sheriff Street, Campbellville, Georgetown.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Our smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world.
Good evening, I am Nikita Ford. Tonight, Jamaica may need to borrow more finances to rebuild after Hurricane Melissa, despite more than $1 billion already secured. The U.S. Congress unites to pass Epstein File Act. China set new emission target and Beijing banned Japanese seafood imports. We begin in Jamaica. Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness says Jamaica will likely need to borrow to rebuild after Hurricane Melissa, despite beginning recovery with $1.15 billion from disaster funds and IMF financing. Damages is estimated at $8.8 billion for the 1% of GDP, far exceeding available resources. The World Bank warns total losses may be even higher. The U.S. Congress shows rare bipartisan unity as both chambers overwhelmingly passed the Epstein File Transparency Act. Al Jazeera Rosalind Jordan reports.
In both houses of Congress on Tuesday, a rare show of bipartisan unity.
The yeas are 427, the nays are 1. The Senate has passed the bill under unanimous consent.
The cause for celebration for these women: passage of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which requires the Justice Department to release tens of thousands of documents about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's sex trafficking ring, an operation that victimized these and hundreds of others when they were teenagers.
I was hopeful for life and what the future had held for me. He stole a lot from me.
Before he was president, Donald Trump was friends with Epstein, but he says he never knew anything about Epstein's crimes. The president says he'll sign the bill into law, but survivors worry the truth will never come out.
To the President of the United States of America, who is not here today, I want to send a clear message to you. While I do understand that your position has changed on the Epstein files, and I'm grateful that you have pledged to sign this bill, I can't help to be skeptical of what the agenda is.
Their skepticism may well be warranted. Trump and nearly all congressional Republicans tried for months to block Democrats' efforts to force the files' release. But with public opinion increasingly opposed, Trump recently relented. House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide, and it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax. The law also lets the Justice Department withhold any documents that are part of ongoing investigations or that directly identify Epstein's victims. What survivors and their supporters would welcome: the president using his authority to order the Attorney General to release everything immediately.
Why won't they release the Epstein files right now? And he must explain to the public why he moved sex trafficker and monster Ghislaine Maxwell to a cushy, low-security prison after her interview with Trump's personal lawyer.
I suffered so much.
The law requires the Epstein files to be made public by December 19th. The survivors and their supporters know that with no punishment clause included in the law, they'll have to keep up the pressure to gain justice for Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. Rosalind Jordan, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has pledged to reduce the country's greenhouse gas emissions by 7 to 10% over the next 10 years, but many climate scientists say the target does not go far enough. Al Jazeera Katrina Yu reports.
From the street, Gui Hongqing's modest home looks like any other in Bayin village. But from above, it stands apart. Her roof is covered with solar panels. She started renting the space to a renewable energy company 3 years ago. In exchange, they give her $420 a year and discounted electricity.
In the past, we used coal for winter heating. Now we use solar power. It's much cleaner and cheaper. I don't need to get up at night to burn coal.
Before the village switched to using clean energy, dark coal covered the streets and its smoke polluted the air. Now, residents like Gui warm their homes with the flick of a switch. The change is part of Beijing's plan to green its power supply. The remote land surrounding her village, further testament to that goal. The area is home to one of the biggest wind farms in northern China.
There are thousands of wind turbines like these dotted across the country, and hundreds more being built every year. Together, they produce about 10% of China's total energy needs.
Beijing invested $625 billion into clean energy last year and plans to boost the share of non-fossil fuels to more than a third of its energy consumption. Today, China produces most of the world's wind turbines, solar panels, and electric cars.
China saw this as an opportunity. They see the green industries as an opportunity to invest in other countries.
In September, President Xi Jinping pledged to cut China's carbon output by between 7 and 10% of its peak by 2035. But the target has been criticized as weak and not aligned with Beijing's goal of becoming carbon neutral by 2060.
That's a very, very slow start. It's still possible, of course, to reach the target, but it's making the transition harder because you're going to have to scale down the coal industry much faster once you start doing it and reduce emissions much faster.
China still relies on fossil fuels and continues to build new coal-fired power stations to shore up its supply. But its leaders defend the country's clean energy roadmap, confident its reputation as the world's biggest polluter will ultimately be superseded by its leadership in renewable technologies. Katrina Yu, Al Jazeera, Hebei Province, China.
China is banning imports of Japanese seafood as a diplomatic dispute between Tokyo and Beijing escalates. Al Jazeera Patrick Falk reports.
In Tokyo's Ikebukuro district, you don't need to look hard to find the Chinese community. With its Chinese-run restaurants and supermarkets, it's known unofficially as Chinatown in Japan's capital.
I like Japanese culture, particularly the anime here. I also find the welfare policies here favorable.
Sun Zheng runs a store selling groceries imported from China. He's been living in Tokyo for 8 years and considers it his home. For many Chinese, the latest dispute between the two governments has been an unwelcome development.
This is all very political. Us ordinary people just have to mind our own business. Politics is politics. I'm just an individual.
Still, Zheng tells us he hopes Japan doesn't interfere in Taiwan. Beijing claims the self-governed island as part of its territory. The suggestion by newly appointed Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi that Japan could become militarily involved in the event of a Chinese attack on Taiwan has created unease. A rise in nationalist sentiment is already causing concern among immigrants, and many are worried the quarrel between Tokyo and Beijing could spell trouble. A relaxation of visa requirements in Japan in recent years has seen Chinese immigration become more prominent than ever before in this country. Up until the latest dispute between the two sides, the number of Chinese people living here was expected to exceed 1 million in 2026. That's compared to about 870,000 at the end of 2024. But in recent days, as ties have deteriorated, Beijing has warned students living here of heightened risks. It's also advised holidaymakers not to travel to Japan. Asako Wagi sells dried seafood and other snacks in Ueno district, a popular tourist area. He says the Chinese visitors make up a significant percentage of the customers for most of the businesses.
Japan has managed for 80 years precisely because it hasn't been involved in war. In that sense, the question is, how long can we continue avoiding involvement in conflict? There's a risk Ms. Takaichi might undermine that stance. The public certainly doesn't want Japan dragged into wars that offer no benefit. Personally, I hope for a peaceful resolution.
One research institute estimates a full travel boycott could result in an annual loss of more than $14 billion. That could hurt the livelihoods of both the Japanese as well as Chinese who settled in this country. Patrick Falk, Al Jazeera, Tokyo.
Thanks, Nikita. This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's it, TV2 Headline News for this Thursday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other.